Good morning and welcome to the show, and thanks for waking up with us today. It's Monday morning, so we have Dr. Roman Nation here in the studio from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Lynn Haven, and now Panama City Beach as well.
Yes,
Dr. Nation, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
Always good to see you,
Yes,
and I
sir.
always learn something from you.
We always have stuff to talk about.
We always have good conversations, and sometimes the best interviews happen before we start rolling tape. But you know, one thing that's been kind of on my mind: whatever happened to Ebola? I mean, everybody was really scared. We were running for the hills. It was in the news all over the place.
Well, and to me, it's kind of ironic because we've had updates from the various agencies like CDC and actually the Florida Department of Health came out with an update, and the FDA just approved a rapid Ebola test. You know, but now that we've gotten all these things in place, and now it may be good for the next time around if you know, we have another outbreak. But you know, just like when I was telling you before, is when a severely deadly virus like that or bacteria goes too viral, it kills all the hosts, and therefore it can't spread anymore.
It just burns out.
Right, which is why the colds, you know, when you look at the flu vaccine, the CDC issued some report that it's only 18% effective this year, which I find kind of ironic because they're usually much better than that. But colds have been going around, and this is, for us, it's one of the worst cold seasons that we've seen in a while. But we don't have people coming in with Ebola and dying because Ebola has to, in order for it to be able to spread, the host has to stay alive long enough for
to spread it.
To spread. You know,
and that just really doesn't happen. You know, and the reason I'm reminded of it was because I saw a news item recently about a nurse in Texas who caught Ebola treating someone who's cured, who's suing for catching Ebola. So even if so even if you get it, it's no guarantee you'll die.
No. It's a pretty severe thing, but it's not a case
I mean,
of
it's treatable,
Right.
I suppose, and in some cases curable, I would imagine.
And I'm sure most of that is some nurse who decided that, and some attorney decided he wanted to latch onto it because it's part of a hospital, and the hospital should have known better. So, somebody's going to try and get a nice fat paycheck out of that when really the hospital was doing its best job to try and save people's lives. The nurse was trying to do its best to save their life. The person who had it, I think,
probably more liable than anyone else.
Yeah, well, and I think there was something about where he had lied to the customs agents about where he had been and what he had done, and therefore, kind of imported it into the U.S. So, but they're not going to sue that guy because that guy's dead.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is, we were downright hysterical over Ebola for a while.
There's always something every year.
Yeah, it's like disease of the week or whatever that you've got.
Yeah, every fall, there's always some massive outbreak of something that comes around that everybody gets their dander up about. Yeah. And it all comes back to the same thing: wash your hands, pay attention to who you're around, and if you're sick, go get seen.
And if you're traveling to exotic locales, you just recognize you're assuming some sort of liability there. You got to get. I mean, if you're going to work with people with Ebola in Africa, I mean, you're going to have to take precautions.
Yeah, we've seen workman's comp cases where people in the health field, get needle sticks and these types of things, and those quite often are personal mistakes and not procedural mistakes that have been designed. But that still doesn't stop people from trying to claim a workplace injury and then trying to milk the system out of days off work and things like that. So luckily we have a couple of docs in town that are really good at getting people back to work and kind of recognizing the folks who are just trying to get days off or money out of the situation rather than what the system is for, and that is to return you to your health, take care of if there was a workplace injury, take care of you, get it fixed, and then get you back to work as soon as possible. We
have to run off to local weather, but it is spring break.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about some of the health risks of spring break, binge drinking and all that other stuff.
Talking about diseases,
Oh my goodness, yes. We can talk about that as well. And we'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare in Lynn Haven, and now on Panama City Beach as well. And speaking of Panama City Beach, it is that time of year. It's spring break.
It's coming up.
It's coming up, and it's going to be a lot of not just college kids, but vacationers and young people, coming to Panama City.
Most of the tourism, kicks in March, so that's when you get. There's always a big debate at the county commissioner's office and other places about where the people are supposed to go when accidents happen. And unfortunately, we don't have a hospital on Panama City Beach, so Gulf Coast thinks that they should be the primary one because they're the closest, but then Bay Medical gets involved because they're the biggest and they're the county hospital, or used to be the county
And we've had the fire chief here, and we've had people from the sheriff's office, and we talk all about the risks of spring break and this whole party atmosphere and crowds and all. But there are some health risks that go along with this whole crowd.
Among young people, fatalities are highest among accidents doing recreational activities, whether it's water skiing, skydiving, or just playing in the water, or like, you know, we've had a couple years ago with the parasailing accidents with the girls doing those kinds of things. You know,
yeah.
There's some
balcony diving, people falling off balconies and things.
Yeah, we always have people that do that, or, you know, drunken parties and things like that. The one that I would be the most concerned with folks, especially if they've got kids in this area, is mixing of alcohol and other medications. You see, there's at least 40,000 deaths per year of accidental drug overdose, and it is now. It used to be that there was illicit drugs that was the majority of those things like cocaine and heroin and those kinds of things that was causing people to die. It's now more than 50% of that is from prescription drug overdose. It's people that take medications from family members, or people that have been on opiates for a while, and it doesn't have a huge effect on them in terms of, you know, cognition. But somebody who's naive to it and hasn't taken it, you know, they'll pop a couple of those and then stack on some alcohol, and it's lights out.
I know, and this younger crowd comes up with these really unique cocktails of power drinks and cough syrup and stupid stuff like that I would. Somebody sat up all night dreaming this stuff up. You know, like caffeine and alcohol mixed together. I mean, how dangerous is that?
Well, people tend to think that the caffeine will counteract the alcohol or the sedative effects of some medications, and it doesn't. It actually, your reaction time is still extremely slow, and that's where you get fatalities, or people that walk along the beach, you know, or on the streets and get plowed over by, you know, cars and things like that.
Well, you know, and that's a huge risk too, because just the sheer volume of people. You know, there's a lot of people on the streets. They're up all times of night. I mean, and young people are active.
There's a lot of stuff with the DEA that's trying to crack down on prescription drug abuse and overdose, because it's so ubiquitous. I mean, you know, we're here in this area, or people that come from South Florida, where there's a lot of older population, where, you know, chronic medications for pains and joint pains and stuff like that is very useful when done correctly, and when you take it over to, you know, a grandchild, or, you know, a son or daughter that starts taking it just because, then, you know, you combine that with a little alcohol, and if they're overweight and have sleep apnea, I mean, that's what kills them.
Well, you know, if you have young people that are going to Panama City Beach for spring break, I guess a word of caution: just be cautious. Use common sense. I mean, we were all young once, and we all did crazy stuff. But
the things now will kill you, though.
Moderation.
Before it would mess you up, and you'd have a pretty nasty hangover. But now they'll actually kill you.
Moderation is always the key. Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare. Thank you so much for that wise advice on spring break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shores from Spine and Neuro Pain Specialists, and we're going to talk about your pain and the psychological impact that can have on the quality of your life. Dr. Shores, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I know, you know, before we started rolling tape, we talked a little bit about the psychological aspects of pain treatment or injuries that people may have. Is it normal for people to perhaps get depressed after a procedure?
Well, I think it can certainly happen, and it's not uncommon, especially in folks who have chronic painful conditions that unfortunately may not always go away. Excuse me. So I think that certainly has to be considered. Not everybody who has various pain issues, especially if they're short-lived, experience some depression or anxiety, but certainly there are many patients out there who do, and it's oftentimes very common in situations that are either have a slow course of recovery, or unfortunately will never recover.
Is there a typical type of person that perhaps may get depressed? I mean, is it male, female, young, old? I would imagine if somebody's young and active, and then all of a sudden, due to an accident or injury or whatever, they're not as active anymore.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I would tell you that I don't know that there's any one particular personality or person or whatever that's going to become depressed. I think it varies from person to person, and injury or situation that you know, how it impacts someone's life and how they deal with it. I think everybody responds to that a little bit differently.
Yeah, and I would imagine older people too, who may be used to maybe a little more sedentary lifestyle, but if you're all of a sudden maybe bedridden, or you're having to take a lot of new meds that may slow you down, that could have an impact on you too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I see that pretty commonly. Or another one I commonly see is folks that have waited for retirement to enjoy their golden years to travel and so forth, and then one of the spouses has some sort of a medical setback that may not go away or forever changes their life, and that oftentimes does cause depression and frustration and anger and resentment that individuals need to cope with in order to restore that quality back to their life that they're looking for.
So, and I can certainly understand that. I mean, you're planning your whole life, you reach retirement age, and then somebody pulls the rug out from under you, and then maybe someone has a chronic pain problem, and it's got to be dealt with in a variety of different ways. What advice would you give people who may have a family member? I mean, what a family member is supposed to do? What kind of support can they give a person who's undergoing chronic pain treatment?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I would say is, you know, if a family member or a loved one is suspecting that there's some sort of a mood disorder with their loved one, whether they're depressed or anxious or overly irritable or lashing out and those things, usually I find that the family member's instincts are probably correct. So if there's a concern there, wherever possible, I think it would be great to be able to see if you can accompany your loved one to the doctor. That might be the healthiest way to do it. Sometimes I hear that, you know, when you try to confront your loved one yourself, sometimes that is poorly received and turns into other frustrations and arguments and so forth. But I think the first thing would be try to communicate to your loved one's physician or healthcare provider that there does seem to be an issue here, and maybe the physician can broach that discussion with them.
And that's probably good advice too. You know, having a loved one accompany you to a doctor's visit. This way, you're not dealing with this on your own or trying to communicate to a person what all it is. It's always good to have that second set of eyes and ears.
Absolutely, and I think that also is helpful, and then the physician can discuss further on how to give some guidance. You know, sometimes feeling depressed or frustrated immediately after a setback is not uncommon and can be normal. But the issue and where it becomes a little bit more pathologic and destructive is when it goes on too long, or the coping strategies and things are just not there. That's where I think sometimes people need help. So
when in doubt, certainly let your medical provider know that perhaps there's something going on and seek counseling. There's no shame in that, is there?
Not at all.
Dr. Aaron Shores, thank you again for that great advice.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Christina Williams from Superior Residences here on Panama City Beach. And I got to tell you, I recently walked through that place in its completed state. What a facility.
Thank you.
Christina, I mean, I walked through there. We did a little show there one time when you were under construction. And Lori Becerra showed us around. You know, now this last time I went out, Paula had taken me on a little tour. I was curious. I was out on the beach. I said, let's see the finished product. You had your grand opening. I heard it was a great turnout.
We did. We had about 500 people come through our grand opening a couple weeks ago, and we were just so excited for the turnout and that the community is supporting us in this new resort-style senior living.
And it's kind of unique to this area.
It is.
Having this type of assisted living facility.
It is. It's very unique. It's the first one in the area. We offer a movie theater. We have a lounge. We have a chapel. We have a lot of things that you don't usually associate with an assisted living community.
And it's not more like a nursing home.
No, not at all. We do have 3 levels of licensure, which allows us to provide extended care. So someone can move in with us and truly age in place. They most likely would never have to leave and go to a skilled nursing facility. They can stay with us until end of life if they so choose. But it's not a nursing home. Our staff wear black pants and polo shirts. The nurses station is called a wellness office, so it's very resort style, and we want it to feel like home, not institutional.
Well, yeah, I walked through there, and I looked at the theater, and I know you have that little meeting room where you have happy hour now, and actually has a bar.
The Grand Heron Lounge, where we offer daily happy hour serving beer and wine, as well as hors d'oeuvres from our chef.
That's just awesome stuff, and the kitchen is like, you know, like state of the art.
Yes.
You know, it's an awesome place.
Yes, sir.
Now, some people are resistant. I have elderly parents, and they're at home, and they don't want to leave home, and this is their house, and all that stuff. And when you're dealing with an elderly parent, you know, right away they think of the old days, oh, you want to put me in a home. And this is just not the case.
This is not the case. Besides the amenities, we have very spacious 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and studio apartments that have kitchenettes. They have refrigerators, microwaves, granite countertops, crown molding. Each unit has its own air conditioning unit. I mean, it's very much an apartment for our seniors to live in and enjoy retirement.
Now, you've had a lot of these units already reserved, I suppose.
Correct.
No one's moved in quite yet?
Not yet. We're still waiting on our licensure from the state. We expect to move residents in later this month, 1st of April, once we have the all clear from the state.
Are the units still available?
We do.
Okay.
We have quite a few reserved. However, we are still pre-leasing and taking priority reservations, so those who are interested can come reserve a room, and they'll get to move in that first wave of move-ins.
Yeah, I walked through there, like I said, very casually, and looked at the 2-bedroom with a balcony, and I'm like, geez, I could live here. I mean, it's a pretty comfortable little environment, particularly if you're elderly and you need maybe a little extra attention or a little extra care. Nurse is just a push button away.
Correct. There's a button each resident will have that they wear as a watch or a necklace, and they just push the button and the staff will respond.
Yeah, little putting green out there.
Putting green, yes, sir.
And so you don't have to be totally decrepit to live there.
No,
I mean, you can just age in place. You can go there, get a nice little place. Husband and wives move in together there.
We have a lot of couples that are moving in, and sometimes one spouse needs more care than the other. But the great thing is you can move in with us, and you can have as much or as little care as needed. We have a lot of people who are still very independent, driving, going to meetings, and doing things.
Thank you so much, Christina, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Randy Akins from 5L Fitness, our official Waking Up with Don trainer. Randy, welcome back again. And
thank you.
Last time you were here, we talked about this little personal crisis I got going here. I got a reunion of firemen that I've got to go meet with. I don't have to, but I want to. It's going to be great to see the guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to be the one guy that they said, oh, geez, he let himself go to pot. I don't want to be that guy. Let someone else be that guy.
Right.
Last time you were here, we talked about diet.
Yes.
We talked about eating at breakfast, setting your body up so you're a more efficient fat burner. What else can I do to kind of get in shape and maybe just lose a little bit of weight in a very short period?
Well, the next thing is the one that we're all used to talking about, and it's the fitness part.
Right.
You've been working on the diet, which is very important because it's going to set you up for success, and it's going to make your physical exercise a lot more efficient as well. But now, the easy part is actually the hard part because so many people have a problem fitting it into their day.
Right.
So what time of day would be good for you to actually do your physical exercise?
Probably in late afternoon.
Late afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would probably be the best time for me when I have time available.
Okay. So late afternoon.
Ironically, that's when I'm the most wiped out, though.
Right, right.
And I'm looking for a nap rather than a workout.
So keep eating the way you've been eating, and hopefully that'll change your energy level so that you'll have a little more juice toward the end of the day. And if you need to, you can have another cup of coffee or something like that prior to the workout. I wouldn't have a big cup, but just enough to kind of give you enough energy to get through it. And then your body will eventually get used to that and you won't need the coffee, so you can be set up to get that exercise in.
Now, as far as the nutrition thing goes, we know that the whole breakfast component is important.
Yes.
Maybe a bowl of cereal, maybe some Greek yogurt, maybe a little bit of protein somehow.
Yes.
But should I wait all the way until noon to eat again, or should I be snacking in between?
You should definitely snack in between, and that's only going to help to keep your blood sugar levels from spiking. And that's the biggest problem with Americans today with their diet is everybody thinks that it's fat that causes people to get fat or overweight, and a lot of times it's sugar.
Right.
Sugar is a lot more addictive than any narcotic that has ever been created. And when you consume too much, your body becomes resistant to insulin.
And it's not just sugar in your coffee; it's the bread and the carbs that you eat that turns into sugar.
When people think of sugar, they think table sugar or dextrose or sucrose, whichever one it is. And sugar is in anything that's processed and anything that is a carbohydrate. Now, the complexity of that carbohydrate is what makes it unique. So something that digests quick is a fast digesting carbohydrate. And a slower digesting carbohydrate or a whole grain, whole oat type of product is going to digest slower, so your body has to work to use it. And that's what you want to focus on to keep that blood sugar level throughout the day.
So refined sugar, you don't want to do too much of that.
Absolutely.
It's okay to have some carbs though, right?
It is, yeah. And then some of that refined sugar is okay after you get done working out, so you can replenish those stores in your body so you're ready for the next day's workout.
But if you want to burn fat, you probably need to throttle back on the carbs, right?
Or cut out all refined sugars, which I recommend that you do too. That's the next step in your diet, so that your body can normalize and become more efficient at not only clearing that glucose, but also burning body fat.
So you can drink coffee black, you know, you drink coffee without sugar in it, maybe just a little.
Yeah, or you can even use one of the non-nutritive sweeteners if you want. I would say stick with like a stevia or something like that because it's more natural. But any of those will work.
So reasonable breakfast, not too big. Snack
in
before
between.
lunch.
Yes, sir.
And have a reasonable lunch.
Yep.
Because after lunch, I'm always looking for a siesta.
And that's a good gauge on how much you've eaten. You may not be able to realize it until after the nap, but if you have to take a nap after lunch, you ate too much.
Okay, I'm going to work these workouts into my schedule. Randy Akins from 5L Fitness. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Don.
All right, we'll see you next time.